So thank you very much for being here today with me. My name is Oscar. I'm representing BBVA, which is one of the largest banks in Spain. But I don't know if you remember from last year. Last year, I was here talking about my former company, Orange, which is one of the largest telecom company. So what happened is that here in Digital Velocity, I meet my current boss. She was here in the audience. She was listening to my presentation. She really liked it. And she says, hey, would you like to come on board on BBVA? And I say, yes, let's do it. So, thank you. So what I'm going to present right now is the transition from Orange to BBVA. It's going to be most focused on how we changed on Orange to having a DMP, to a CDP, to have a lot of use cases, to be leveraged data for measuring, and how that works in a bank where there is a lot of regulation and where there is more compliance to do. So before, in Orange, we used to have a DMP like a lot of companies. I know if you remember these questions you had on your teams, you say, okay, how many users do you have on your DMP? And we just say, okay, I have 100,000 users on the audience. And then they came and say, oh, but I have on my DSP 25,000 unique users. Why is that? And then, oh, on Google Ads, same audience is half. And on Meta is different. At the end, it doesn't matter what answer you give to them, because what their main goal is to understand if they can have more volumes. Because you know that on paid media, what matters is reach. And that's what they focus. So when we start working with the CDP, it was a completely change of mindset. Because before, the audience was based on cookies. So for example, on the total customer audience we have on the DMP, which is the first one, we have around 1 million unique searches for that audiences. But because of the the CDP, we could use 3 different data points like email, cookies, and device ID. We were able to increase the volume audience of customer by more than 300,000. And what matters at the end, 75% of the sales of paid media on search. So, as you're all aware with Telium, doing CAPI is quite simple. It's a task that for any team might take like 1 hour configuration. So what's the trick part of CAPI? It is not the data layer. That's something, it might take 1 or 2 sprints to IT, is the legal part. So in Orange, it took us 2 years before the legal team understand why we're so focusing on CAPI, why we're so keen on sharing personal identifiable information with Google and Meta. So they came with one solution. They say, okay, when someone buys online, we will assume this is legitimate interest under GDPR. And if they accept, and you will be able to share the email address for CAPI. And if they accept marketing communications, you can use it for targeting users with bespoke communications. So the thing is, it helps a lot the marketing team, because they were able to increase their sales on Meta or on Google by 20% by only sharing personal identifiable information. So this was last year use case that I showed. One of the challenges we have at Telco is that when we are selling devices, the price for customer is based on the tariff they have and the churn risk. So if you're a customer, you cannot show prices unless you log. So we use the CDP to be able to show the prices without the user to log in. I'm going to show the video and I'm going to explain it. So first, I'm entering to the website. I came from a marketing communication. So we are now to go to look to the local storage to see in real time how Telium is able to detect the user. So I have set cookie policy. So on real time, Telium is saying I'm a customer, but obviously I'm an anonymous customer. At this time, because the page hasn't been refreshed, the content is for prospect. So in the next interactions, on the URL, you will see that the content is for customers. But that's the problems. You don't know who are you talking to. So I'm going to force to give my customer ID on the URL, and now on real time, on local storage, you are going to see that Telium has the data, doesn't know who I am and what type of customer I am. But Telium hasn't had time to talk with the CMS. So in the next interaction, you could see that Telium has talked with the CMS and seen the price. Now I'm going to log in, and you are going to see that I'm not already logging. Now I'm logging. That is the same price that you are seeing. So 44 euros, and I go back, 44 euros. Same price consistency without logging. So there are other use cases because we have a lot of unknown customers on the Orange website. So what we did with the chatbot, that sometimes there is interacting with a customer, but because the user is not logged, they were not able to offer any special commercial proposal. So what we did is that we, through data layer enrichment, we leverage the campaign ID, and the chatbot retrieves that from the data layer, goes to the system, and makes the customer a tailored proposal. So the customer at the end buys, and we were able to increase by 5% the conversion rate of the chatbot. So again, one of the things we have is that the marketing team were very keen to recommend very specific products to customers, based in a lot of rules. So what we did is we go to the CRM, get the SKU or the tariff ID, bring it back to the CDP, and then connect with the commerce, with the Commerce Cloud, which was our e-commerce platform, and we were able to move by a standard website, which all the same recommendation for everyone, to tailored recommendation for users. Now the challenge is to do the same in BBVA. BBVA is a more regulated sector with a lot of compliance. One of the things I did in the first 2 weeks was, first 2 months, it was try to find quick wins that doesn't involve legal, which was increase the customer audience size. So before, the customer audience size was based on users that have logged on the customer area. But working with web analytics, we detect there is a huge lot of traffic coming from email communications. So what we did, we include that audience on the segment definition, and we were able to increase the audience size of the customer by 32%. Other thing was working with legal around using IP address on CAPI. By default, because we're a bank and we are very concerned about latency, we are not allowed to use pixels or client-side solutions, or it's possible to use server-side solutions. So we are forced to use only solutions like CAPI. The problem is that when the team were implementing CAPI, they raised the hand to legal and say, hey, can we share the IP address with Meta? And obviously, the answer from legal is no. If you ask the question that way, it's no. So, so I work with legal to explain why can we use it and why we have a consent. So I explained to them that when any user enters to the BBVA website on the server of BBVA, you are collecting the IP address without consent. So they were not aware of this. They get very nervous, very scared, say how we can control who is accessing this data, blah, blah, blah. So I explained, but whereas when the user has accepted the cookie policy and we ingesting a third-party tag or code or whatever, or Telium, there is consent for any purposes. And maybe the servers of Telium is collecting the IP address, but the user has given us the thumb ups for that purposes. So they understand this and they say, okay, you can use the IP address, which obviously was very, very simple to explain to them. And we improved the conversions before by plus 30%. So other challenge is using funding alternatives IDs to personal identifiable information because it's very well restricted by the consents. So working with web analytics, we see that around 60% of the traffic is on the app, which is normal, we are a bank. 20% of the new business is coming from the app, which that was shocking for me. That's what I was expecting. And obviously, 90% of the customers' purchase happens on the app, which was expected. So what I suggest marketing to use is to start using Telium to leverage the advertising ID. And I make this number for them. So we don't have all the emails from all our customers. Cookie policy, the solution for sharing the email address with Meta or everything is around 40%. So we will be able to target 20% of the users. If we use phone number, 39, but if you use advertising ID, it's around 70%, which it will work for copy and for retargeting on different platforms. So one of the things we're still talking with legal is using personal identifiable information for copy. So at the moment, what I'm saying to them, this is legitimate interest. We are not doing any profiling. This company, they are not using for retargeting the users. So what they want legal, and this is in the conversation they say they want a explicit consent when the user is onboarding with BBVA, saying, hey, do you agree to hash my email and share it with Google for measuring the outcome on that platform, which obviously I don't know any company who is doing that. So we're still working on that, but we need this to unblock. Also, another legal challenge, and in this case, I'm not sure if it's something that is coming from legal or it's because they want to be more cautious, is they want to avoid personalization on the public website to be very specific. They don't want to share the conditions with any customer who's browsing the website unless it logs in. So the type of message we offer right now, they are very generic. They don't offer any appealing to the user. For example, in this case, they say, okay, you have a pre-approved credit. But what are the conditions? Why is good for me? So the effectiveness of this is not very good. So one of the things we have to do, challenge to legalists to understand why they don't let us do that and see if there is a specific regulation, which I don't think so, that is making this possible. So why? Because in our roadmap, and this is what we're building, is we are going to collect with Salesforce Marketing Clouds, which is going to give us the campaign to say to this user, sells this kind of product. And Telium is going to give any feedback from the user when he's browsing the website or is buying something. And then from Amazon, we're getting all the customer information, like their profile. And also the navigation is going back to Amazon. And with that information, what we want to trigger is Adobe Experience Manager and bring all the information from all the communications back to the public website. But if we are not able to offer any specific message, we are not able to do this and to test it. So last but not least important, we have an identity resolution challenge. And this, anyone who has a website and a mobile application might have this challenge. So let's say that I'm using my mobile browser and I go to the website. And I say, okay, I want to log to the customer area. If I have on my mobile phone the application of BBVA, obviously I'm going to be redirected to the app. In that moment, you lose the trace between the browser and the app. And you may log on the app and you know you're Oscar, but on the browser you lost that identity. So when I return back to the BBVA website in another time, you are not able to know that I'm Oscar. So what we're going to do, we are going to work with a partner called UTIC, which is a telco provider, which are able to use the IP address to provide an identity ID which is lasts 90 days, and it will work in any browser and any device because using the IP address, so we're able to identify the same user and be able to personalize more the website because we know that on mobile website, we think we lost around 60% of the customers when they log, we're able to know who they are. So thank you very much for your time. Gracias.